Hey YouTube, and welcome back to Steel Forest Welding and Forge. Today I've got something a little bit different planned. I've been recently inspired by another YouTuber by the name of Yuri Tuckman. If you get a chance, check out his channel. It's really neat. This guy has a knack for hand engraving, and I love some of the machines that he builds. They kind of have an ironic, almost useless twist to them sometimes. For example, he has a finger tapping machine, a machine that you turn a crank with a series of gears that he all built and engraved himself, and it has a wooden finger that just taps. That's all the machine does. And so, great channel, check it out. But one thing he also does is he walks you through a step-by-step process on how to make your own hand engraver. And one of the requirements for making an engraver is some kind of hardenable steel. Now, I've had this steel spring coil here for a while. And for those of you who may not know, steel spring coils or spring steel in general is definitely hardenable material. And this material here, it's about 5/16 thick, is just about the perfect size to use to make these hand engravers. The problem is this steel is still in a coil. I can't forge it, can't really heat treat it. So what do? Well, I've seen several smiths do several different things. Obviously, I have to stick this in the forge and get it hot. But once I get it out of the forge, what I'm going to do, so I'm going to pick it up. Hopefully, I can do some of it by hand. I'm going to put it onto this tube, clamp onto it with a pair of pliers, or I'll probably even use my tongs, and then you just pull it straight out. So I've never done this before. Not sure how it's going to work out, but we're going to find out here together in just 1 minute. Round one's a bit of a failure. Didn't have that heated up evenly. The coil was starting to kind of bend and flex that was in there. I'm going to cut that off with a cut-off wheel. We're going to try again. This time I'm going to put a stand under that side. This time we're going to use channel locks or vice grips. Now, one nice advantage of a propane forge over a coal forge, I know that the heat setting on that forge right now is not going to burn up my steel. I can just let it sit in there, get nice and hot all the way around, and my steel isn't going to start sparking or burning up. So as long as I don't quench this with water, let it kind of cool nicely, it should actually also anneal my metal as well.
undo this probably 2 or 3 more times, just so I get a good portion of this coil cut down. This thing kind of takes up a lot of room in my garage. I'm always knocking it over. It'll be a lot easier to store this steel in long pieces. This is actually my stop for my chop saw, but I don't see another option. That one went very well. One other strange fact about a gas forge you may not know is that the top of, or I should say the bottom of the flame, as in the part closest to the ceiling of your forge, is actually going to be a bit of a cool spot. So that guy just barely fits in there, and because of that, the top of that spring is almost right up against the ceiling of that forge. That means it's creating a cold spot up there, so I have to constantly turn it to get a nice even heat. That's the drawback to a gas forge. Now if you have a part that's really low near the bottom of the forge, it doesn't really matter. You get a fairly even heat. I do this, I'm going to make sure I plug my extension cord into an outlet on the other side. Having to feed my extension cord around this hot wire, it's kind of a dancing game I don't like to play. Alright, that's all I'm going to do for today. I'm going to let this guy cool down by itself, and then I'll give a few final thoughts on this process.
So I've got a couple of final thoughts on this project. Next time I do this, I'll definitely be sure to use a smaller tube. The diameter of this tube was just small enough to fit inside that coiled spring. And as you guys saw, as I pulled on that spring, it was so hot, it contracted around this tubing and actually made it almost impossible to unravel it. I kind of got the hang of it as I went on. I made my heats a little bit shorter, so that way it wouldn't constrict as much along the length of the entire spring. Instead of using tongs, unless you have a really good pair. In fact, so this was about 5/16 material. If you have 5/16 round stock tongs, I would actually recommend going down a size. That way you can get a better grip on it. But I used these vice grips. These worked pretty well. This is what I would recommend. You're probably going to burn the teeth up a little bit, but you know, it is what it is, and you can always get a cheapo pair at Harbor Freight. I got a lot of material out of this. Most of these pieces you can see here go all the way to the floor. So I got quite a bit out of it, and that spring coil right here is maybe I used a third of it. So there's a lot there. And what else? Oh, definitely use a stand to support the spring. I didn't realize that this thing was going to get so hot and it was going to flex so much that this actually almost fell out of the forge. Definitely have a pair of welding gauntlets, something really heavy, just in case something falls and you kind of have to maybe hit out of the way, or just in case you accidentally grab something that's super hot. So I think that just about does it. Thanks again for watching, guys. Please subscribe, please like, I would really appreciate it, and have a good rest of your day.